Thanks to Solène Favreau, Fraser Olender's below-deck dish this season is incredibly green. This issue has plagued the interior team throughout the season. The deck crew is also in decline, and Fraser is unable to convey to Solène how terrible her performances are. Fraser has not thought twice about suggesting a dismissal in previous seasons. However, as he clarified in episode 14, he was attempting to avoid this automatic response. Rainbow DeRoos is working extremely hard as a result. Additionally, her mean-spirited comments are growing as her fatigue increases. With just a handful of episodes left, Fraser has a lot of work ahead of him. He has, however, had 14 episodes to control his stew. Yet here we are, wondering how Solène manages to maintain her position on Season 12 of Below Deck. We found out about Solène's greenness at the beginning of this season. So far, Solène has accumulated about 54 days of experience with 14 incidents. How has Fraser handled her performances on his team, considering this is a very small number? First, Fraser reminded Solène of hierarchy for a brief moment in episode 1, after Barbara Kuleif accused her of challenging her authority. During the second episode, Solène declined to clean the restrooms. Rainbow, then, did them. Similarly, Barbara clocked Solène working in a cabin preparing only one side of a bed. Fraser, meanwhile, seemed to overlook these instances as Solène sassed them both as they complained. You already know the routine, but I could give examples like this from each of the first 14 episodes. Fraser has decided to handle these issues primarily through Rainbow, which is wild. Rainbow, however, is not the chief stew. All things considered, Fraser ought to have intervened forcefully to begin eradicating his problem child as soon as both stews expressed the disdain and lack of effort or concern displayed by Solène. In his Instagram posts, Fraser recently shared his perspective, stating that he spoke to Solène daily and that she was always polite with a positive attitude. Production must have decided to omit all of this and instead give us a cheap hookup series because these conversations were nowhere to be found. Any industry must have improvement plans. An organization cannot function with underperforming staff. But if a worker demonstrates potential, a manager may decide to offer them a second or third chance, and this is the point at which a written action plan usually becomes useful. Now, Rainbow's words are not particularly kind, but this girl is stressed out and worn out from working 2 jobs that keep her up at night. Rainbow, however, has frequently expressed regret for her harshness, in contrast to Solène. Fraser should have taken something to help silence Solène as soon as he understood this by coming up with a strategy or even a harsh warning. Throughout the season, Solène has also been taking baby breaks. Fraser has approached her aboard the yacht on multiple occasions to remind her of her break periods. She still takes pauses, though. She would be fired on any other yacht, Fraser pointed out, but how did he convince Solène to understand that she wasn't entitled to these additional peaceful moments? Perhaps Solène might have flourished under an upgrade plan. However, based on the edits currently showing, we regrettably did not witness any such ideas emerging from Fraser. Desperate actions are necessary in desperate times. Finally, Fraser came up with a strategy to help make Solène the stew of his dreams in the most recent episode. He wanted to speak with his deck team, and he needed Hugo Oretka to do so. During her shifts, Hugo had to instruct his colleagues to leave Solène on red in this discussion.
On a beach outing, however, Solène became aware of the less eloquent language these yachties were suddenly using. Damo Jorg broke down shortly after, stating that his team was no longer permitted to reply to her while she was on duty. Solène, of course, became impatient. After that, she argued with Fraser and angrily addressed Captain Carey Titheridge, questioning why he had never informed her of her bad performance.
Unfortunately, Fraser could have easily pulled out an action plan at this point to demonstrate that he has made an effort to help her change her direction. But I'm getting off topic. This approach, however, obviously failed. Season 12 of Below Deck is down to just a few episodes. Solène might therefore still lose her job. But as Fraser clarified, he would rather see his club finish the season together. He admitted to Solène in episode 14 that he had been frustrated numerous times, adding, "I know you're working when you're working, but when you're not, other people are still working." The team finds that to be frustrating. I find it annoying. Rather than blushing, Solène stepped up, Given how poorly she works, Fraser ought to terminate her. Fraser responded, "You're here for a reason, because you have made a huge progression," while ignoring her backtalk. Solène, however, was still upset. In order to get out of this moment, she angrily asked Fraser whether he had completed his speech. "I don't want to fire her," Fraser joked in his confessional. "However, we might be without a choice."